We have Michael Kammes here today. He's got a really good, interesting subject matter talking about AI, how we're able to answer some of the questions that come up around that for post and for production. I'll let him talk all about it. He's a great wealth of information. We're lucky to have him at KeyCode.
Good morning, folks. All right, so yes, my name is Michael Kammes, and I have a lot of AI info for you. I'm going to dispel a lot of AI bullshit that's out there. And a majority of this is going to be post-production, but I was so wowed at what some of our vendors had at NAB this year that I'm going to spend a few minutes on live. But just so I know what everyone here does, because I come from LA, not originally, I'm not that kind of guy, I'm from Chicago. So how many live folks do I have here? Right? Okay, good. Post-production, I bet a lot of you live people do post too. Right? Okay. Don't worry, we're not taking names or anyone. Who here is using Adobe? Yeah? Okay, not everyone. Does that mean you're using Resolve? I see some other hands. Are there some Avid users in the house? Not a lot of purple. Okay, thank you. I have one. I can hide behind you when the slings and arrows come. Let's see, what else could there be out there to edit with? Final Cut? Final Cut? Okay, excellent. So if I show you on Apple, we're good? Okay, excellent. What didn't I bring up? Was there, I'm sorry? Edius? Okay, well, showing your age, Mark, that's great. All right, so we're going to start a little bit with live. I have a few videos for you because they explain things a lot better than I can, and then we're going to get into the post-production stuff. Cool? Okay. So if you've seen any of my videos online, I'm all about technical education, right? Informing people of what phrases and terms are in our industry so you can be a more informed consumer and operator and impress your friends at parties. Because I don't know about you, when I'm at parties, I talk about terms. So some of the terms you may need to know, and I like to think of them as all of the autos. So first one is auto framing, right? For any of you who here do live production, we have some great examples up here. So if you are shooting a conference and maybe your camera person is out getting a cup of coffee or something, you can set the auto framing. So it is keeping that speaker dead center in the frame. So when they do walk or they do move, you've got that. Of course, it also translates to things like live streaming and education. We also have auto tracking, which I think every vlogger out there loves. Every creator loves this, so something like this, where it tracks you. You hold the camera or you put the camera on a pedestal, maybe it's a PTZ, and it auto follows you, right? That's great for houses of worship, lecture capture, and instructors and such. We also have auto switching, right? And that's being able to take multiple camera inputs and being able to switch to them intelligently. Does anyone in here work in radio at all? Yeah? So you're probably aware of that kind of technology, right? When someone talks, the pathway opens up, it records, and then it switches to that mic, and then when they're done, it closes. Same basic concept. You switch to a different camera angle when there's action. In fact, some of the newer technology actually even waits until the person's frame is in, or the person's face is in frame. Do any of you do city of meetings? Yeah, and how many times you cut to that camera angle and you're getting just the side of someone's face, right? That happens all the time. So some of the newer technology actually waits until the person's face is in frame before auto cutting. And that makes your job in post that much easier. We also have auto composition for multi-subject framing. I'm the only person on the stage right now, but later on today, we'll have a panel discussion. And how are you keeping multiple faces in frame when you cut to them? So there's also some auto technology that does that, and that's called auto composition. And the last two auto terms I'm going to go through, auto identification, now what you find on your security cameras, although I have security cameras and the recognition doesn't work real well on mine, but the higher end stuff do body and face detection and tracking. So if the person is further away and they're moving along the stage, it's going to track that. That works great for graduations, award ceremonies, etc. And lastly is gesture-controlled tracking, which I'll show you a video on in a second. And that's being able to trigger functions with your hands or with your words while the camera is actually running. And we have some voice-assisted stuff that Ross has, which I'll show briefly. So let's take a look at, did anyone see this camera? No, you haven't. You haven't been out there. Who here was at NAB? Yeah, okay. So one of the big cameras out there was the new PTZ from Sony. It's the BRC AM7, and it has all of the things. It has most of all of the autos. It has the SDIs. It has the HDMIs. It has the NDIs. So I have a quick video to show you on that, just in case you missed it. The next one, you're going to hear a very funny statement at the beginning of it, and I want you to think, is he the only one doing this?
I'm probably not the only person here that talks to their Carbonite, but does yours listen? Here's a fun little demo for tonight. Expression out. Carbonite, show me the multi-viewer. Ready 1, black on the line. Fade up. Ready 2. Take. Ready 3. Take 3. Ready split. Build me a 2-box with 1 left, 3 right. Nope, take 1. Ready split on an effect. Do it. Ready 1. Take. Ready black. Fade to black. Ready me. Take me. Bring me back full screen. All right, so.
My concern is that, as my boss can attest to, I talk a lot. And now I'm going to get paid to talk to a computer? Okay. All right, cool. You know, everyone has to make their living. I have one more video.
Let's start
Very
with something
short.
simple, as I'm definitely an amateur meteorologist. How about we look at the current conditions at the airport just around the corner here in Las Vegas? Great, 70 degrees and sunny. For the evening ahead, we expect the winds to come down a bit and the temperatures to slide into the 50s, where we will start the day tomorrow. Let's jump over the pond to Europe to see what the weather is like at our Ross video offices in Reading, UK, and Feistritz, Austria. With that front in Central Europe pushing on, high pressure is settling in and will result in a very nice.
That's a long way from the Weather Channel with Muzak. I don't know if I'm showing my age there, but okay. Now we're going to transition to post, and I'm going to show you a quick demo of some cool tech that's going to blow your mind and keep you awake while you wait for the show floor to open, right? So what if there was an application that you could run inside Avid or Premiere that would do a rough cut for you? Just think about that. Yeah, it exists. If you look at my timeline right now, and we'll do the shift tilde here so you can see what I'm talking about. There's a timeline. It's only a few minutes long. I want to make sure this goes fast. And it's a video of Neil deGrasse Tyson doing Hot Ones. I love Hot Ones. I don't know if anyone watches Hot Ones, but it's great. If you haven't seen the one with Conan O'Brien, gold to check it out. So imagine this was a 3-hour timeline, right? And you want to know what were the salient points. What if I need to do a cut down or a super cut? Well, what if AI could summarize it, give me the story beats, and then I say I want it to be 2 minutes long? Okay, that's exactly what you can do with Quickture. If you look on the right-hand side right here, I'll try and zoom in. There we go. All right, so this is a panel inside Quickture. Quickture has taken a look at my timeline. It has given me a summary. It also has given me the story beats, and it's ranked them. Emotion, humor, spiciness, the emotion, not the taste. But this allows me to select what story beats I think are good. Quickture actually says, hey, this one's green. That's a good topic. If there's one that's red, that's going to be a not so great topic. Once I select the story beats, I then select how long I want the edit to be, and I hit auto edit. How many here hate jump cuts? That's it, really? Okay. If you like jump cuts, which apparently most of you do, there's a little setting down here that says smoothing. So if the points that are brought up in the discussion are close enough together, don't do a jump cut. But if you want it to be more jumpy, all you have to do is compress that, and it will do the jump cuts for you. I can also do a guided edit. Let's say there's a YouTuber you like. Let's say there's maybe an editing style you prefer. Because this is AI, you can say, I want this sequence to be cut like this person, cut like that person. Now, this AI isn't as smart as you or I, so it may not nail that perfectly, but if it's in the zeitgeist, if it's in the current community, it will know. And you can even say things like, I want this to go on TikTok. Give me a unique quote at the end. It'll do that. And then once I hit OK, it generates that and gives me a cut down. I don't want to process it now because we have a presentation to get to, but come up to me afterwards and I can show you the cut it has generated. Let's go back. Who here is already using AI? ChatGPT counts. Okay. Is anyone using AI that's not Anthropic or ChatGPT or OpenAI? No? DeepSeek? Well, okay. So the reason I bring it up is so this will make more sense as we go through it. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover analytical AI and also the difference between analytical AI and Gen AI, because Gen AI is scaring the bejesus out of people. And we're only going to cover analytical AI, and I'll cover that, why we're doing that. I'm going to show you how analytical AI can help you in post. I actually have real-world examples, and I have a case study that's going to blow your mind. You're going to tell me that I'm lying, but I have a QR code that actually takes you to a website that is not lying. And also tools that you can use now. Every tool I'm showing is available. And I'll put up a QR code at the end, or you can get in contact with us to get a demo, take a look at it. But everything I'm showing you is shipping. So for folks out there who edit, tell me some of your pain points. Who's going to be the brave one and tell me something that sucks about editing? Yes. Logging B-roll. Yes. Totally. Okay. Audio integration, meaning the audio was recorded out of sync. Totally. Dual system sound, or someone set the speed wrong, or God forbid someone used their iPhone and did variable frame rate and things are all wonky. In the back there. Yes. Are you talking about the ADA compliance coming up next year for audio descriptors? Yes. We looked at that heavily at NAB. Any other editors? Tell me what problems you're running into during editing. Everyone's had a good editing experience? You never have any problems? Okay. I polled dozens of editors, and they gave me all their pain points. This is editor bingo. Can everyone over there see over my big head? You can see? Okay. So you'll see we have things like this 1,000-to-1 shoot ratio, right? Who hasn't done that? Just let the camera go into free run. Oh, I see someone over there. Yeah. Logging, that's there, right? Making proxies, because the producer thought you could cut 8K on your 2015 MacBook Pro. No shade on Apple. No time code. Syncing. Yes, these are all issues that we run into. But all of the tools today, if you go from top left to bottom right and top right to bottom left, forming an X, All those can be solved with AI I will show you today. And as a benefit, horizontally, I can do all those with analytical AI as well. So just to show you how much this can do. So a lot of the tools I'm going to show you today, and bonus points if you get the meme on the right-hand side, what I'm showing you today is going to fall into the first part of editing. As you're probably aware, on big projects, you get assembly edit, radio edit. For you younger folks, it's not actually for the radio. It's just getting the audio story beats done. Rough cut, fine cut, and final. Some of us don't even go through all of those, right? It's just edit. But when you are looking at getting into the nuance, this is where AI is right now. AI will get you an assembly. AI will get you a radio. In the next year, you'll be able to do a decent rough cut, but it's going to be more about create me 10 iterations of a rough cut, and then I can pick the best parts. They're normally not going to be home runs on the first shot. So this is what's scaring people, is generative AI, right? That's what's used for deepfakes. There's a time and place to create someone virtual. Deepfake really isn't the way to do that. And what we find is that a lot of companies that are adopting generative AI technology, you have to go to your end client and say, we need to renegotiate the contract. We're putting a new clause in our contract. I need you to sign off that we can use AI. And the immediate conversation becomes, well, why do you need AI? Well, set extension, of course. You didn't want to rent a facility with a large enough green screen, or you shot this in your basement. We need to do a set extension. Well, that's generative AI. That could be used for nefarious purposes. So there has to be that discussion between you and your client if they will allow you to do generative AI. And if they don't, then it becomes, well, what about analytical AI? And as most clients will be like, well, what the hell's the difference? AI is AI. No, it isn't. The way I like to look at it is Gen AI is new content. Brand new. Didn't exist before. We can debate the merits of using someone else's content without the permission, but that's for a lawyer panel, not for me. And then we have analytical AI, which is recap. An easier way to think about that is what is said and what is seen. So in every frame or intra-frame, or keyframe, I think keyframe would probably be the best one, and best word there. It is what is said and what is seen. That's what analytical AI will do. It will analyze what was said in that frame, and then what can be seen either by the characters or yourself in that frame. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So the first one, which I think a lot of you have already worked with, are things like speech-to-text, captions, translation, summarization. A lot of people here were using Adobe. Are you folks using text-based editing in Premiere? No? Okay. That is one of the greatest tools I've seen come out in quite a while. If I were to click on this clip here and then go to my text tab, you'll see, and if you use Adobe, you know that zooming in on text is very difficult. There's very few panels that you can zoom into. But this was processed inside Adobe. All I did was right-click on a media clip and say transcribe. And this will transcribe on your machine. Does not have to go to the cloud. I can unplug the Ethernet cable, shut down the Wi-Fi, and this will transcribe for you. And it also will allow you to set speaker names. So I can go up here, I can create captions, I can view the transcripts in different ways, or I can go up and edit the text. And if I want this section out, all I have to do is select it and delete it. And then that ripples through my timeline. So you can transcribe your entire sequence and then load the sequence up in the text panel and say, you know what, I don't want that soundbite, lift it, take it out. Timeline will compress. What we also have are Resolve, and I understand there's some Resolve users in the house. I'm going to do something you're really not supposed to do in a live demo, and that's launch a beta of Resolve. Has anyone downloaded version 20 yet? Not really adventurous, folks. The version 20 has a lot of new AI features in it. In fact, let's load up a project here, and I'm going to go into my edit, and if I right-click on this, you see that? There's AI tools. I'll try and zoom in a little bit more. We have audio transcription. We can even do voice training. So what if your talent flubbed a word or pronunciation? I do it quite a bit. I can record my voice, train the model inside Resolve, all local, and then fix the words that I said wrong. For good purposes only, right? I'm not doing any deep fakes here. I don't want to hear anything about that. But this does allow you to not have to call the voice talent again and say, we forgot a line or we want to change something. So I can simply select audio transcription and hit transcribe. And then on the left-hand side here, where I can zoom in on the font, I can make the font bigger, Adobe. If you take a look, there's my transcript. And I can do the exact same thing. I can go in here and I can delete the text and it puts a line through it. And then in the timeline, that clip is, that section where that is said is no longer in the timeline. This all comes with the software. None of this is extra. No, this is the free version. This is the studio, the free version. This is not the studio version. I'm running the studio version, but you can do it in the free version. The next one is visual analysis, right? This is kind of the next part of AI for video because we've kind of gotten used to the transcript function and editing with text. So, but a lot of people still have trouble kind of grasping onto it, and that's when I kind of like to think of it as more of a RoboCop type thing, right? Where we have facial detection, we've got object recognition, we've got scene detection, and you can do this in your tools as well. This isn't some far off science fiction thing. So what I'm going to do is quit Premiere because actually, tell you what, we'll do this a little bit backwards. There's an application, a plugin that I like called Jumper. Anyone heard of Jumper? No? Jumper is a plugin for Premiere that will index your audio and video and then allow you to search it. So I've indexed all the media in my project right now, and I'm going to search for something simple. We'll just go car. Okay. Great, that's a car, that's a car, that's a car. That's pretty simple. But what if I want to search for something a little bit more, let's say, esoteric, right? Because when we're working on a project, if you need a picture of a car, a video of a car, normally it's I want a 57 Chevy, right? It's not just the automobile, the concept of an automobile, it's the exact result. So let's do something like going faster. Because that could mean a lot of things, right? It could be reading fast, it could be walking fast, it could be driving fast. So this is what they call a contextual search. If I just have going faster, not only do I have the keynote from NVIDIA, where they're talking about the speed of processing, but I also get a car, right? Looks like we have some wind dynamics going on there, which to me would point to going faster. I have a plane going supersonic, so it understands contextually. And for all of you who have tried to find B-roll or tried to find something, maybe a reaction shot or something in footage you didn't know where to find it, a contextual search helps you find things like this. Now, what I'm going to do is quit Premiere because there is actually a way to do this in the brand new version of Premiere where you don't need to use Jumper. Now, Jumper is great because it works with several versions of Premiere. You can go back a couple of years. Not everyone is on the bleeding edge, but the newer beta version of Premiere has something called Media Intelligence. Did anyone read up on this at NAB? No? If I go to search, and we'll just say going faster as well. We'll see how well Adobe does this. As long as I can spell. Going faster.
My drink. Does that sound?
All right, let me zoom in on this. Yeah, I'm seeing motion blur in those. That's going faster, right? I see some fast movement of an object here. Yeah, that's, oh, I know that, Mike. That's my web series logo. Yeah, that makes sense. We have a car. Looks like it's running or driving through a building. So this is all built in to Premiere. What's also interesting is that inside Premiere, you use Premiere's or Adobe's models, right? And that can sometimes be a little bit restrictive. If you're using something like Jumper, you can actually select what model you use. So if you were working on a project that was based on automobiles, you could download a model that maybe focused on all of GM's cars, right? So it would be specific to what you're looking to do. Now, who here likes asset management? Not one person? Are you sales? No, I'm joking. So asset management, it has always been a pain. Why? Because it always required all of you or your assistants to enter in data about the media that was pulled in to your project. And no one wants to do that. No one wants no one went to college or learned technology to enter in metadata. Right? I think maybe librarians, but I don't think anyone in our industry said, I want to go to college to enter in metadata. So the great thing about AI is AI can do some, if not all of that for us. And so tools like Axle, has anyone here heard of Axle? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to bring up Axle. This is actually running on my machine right now. Axle is an asset management system, and all I did was tell Axle to look at this piece of media. That happens to be me about 40 pounds ago. And what I did is I said, Axle, I want you to index this with every single AI model you have. Tell me about each scene. Tell me about what I said. Tell me about what objects were in the frame. Tell me the faces of people who were there. And Axle gave me a report. If I scroll down here, you'll see that there's a television, there's glasses. I wear glasses. Okay, I got that right. But even things like sofa, but where do I have a sofa in this? So let me click sofa. Oh yeah, that's my dog. That's my dog sitting on a sofa. We say she's doing a people when she sits there. She's like, hi, I'm a people. The other, what else is there? There's a cat. I don't own a cat. Why would there be a cat in this video? So let me click cat. Oh yeah, there's a picture of a cat there. So this is all built into Axle AI. And I also have things like faces. So it will recognize faces. Now, Axle has kind of a celebrity database, which I don't fall into, obviously. But you can give it a few samples of your face, assign a name, it will then find you, right? So instead of having to train an AI model on 100 angles of your face, it will just find faces and say, well, we think all of these faces belong to one person. Could you just want to assign a name and then we'll know who it is? You can do that. And this is done all on your local system. This does not need to go to the cloud. One of the things that I'm really hot on is AI that doesn't lock you into a per minute charge on the cloud. This is all done local. Next, we have things like audio intelligence. Now, transcription is great, but what if you have 10 people on a panel? Now you have to go in and change speaker 1 to whoever was speaking, and you have to do that through the entire transcript, which is a pain in the butt. So using things like diarization, where the names are automatically populated, is a fantastic tool. If I go back to Premiere, in fact, we'll have to go back to the older version of Premiere, and by older version, I mean, the shipping version. And Premiere has what they call the diarization, where it will understand who is speaking. But if I use something like Quickture, which is the tool I showed you earlier, Quickture can understand from who's talking what their name is. So if I look in, where is it? If I go into my, Quickture transcript, you'll see that without me putting those names in, AI understood that was Neil deGrasse Tyson, and that was Chris Evans, Sean Evans, not Chris Evans, who hosts Hot Ones. I didn't have to do that. The AI had enough public information to say, I know who that is. And if it didn't do that, you have the ability to actually add speaker names as well. So it's not just AI gets it or AI doesn't, you're screwed. You can go in and put your own names in there as well. As we move forward, and I Alt-Tab to the right app, there we go. This here is the most boring, but it's the most useful. This is smart searches. And I talked about this a little while ago, that when you're searching for a concept, that's very difficult for traditional search mechanisms because they're looking for an object, a thing, whereas I'm trying to express a concept. And so that's where contextual or smart search comes in. And a lot of asset management systems and then editing applications like Adobe have built that in so you can ask it a contextually relevant question. It will understand what you're looking to do. That also means, as we talked about a few minutes ago, no one wants to enter in metadata, and doing a smart tagging automatically on ingest also makes everyone's life a heck of a lot easier. And there's a couple tools to do that. I just showed Axle. And now, I hope no one is streaming video right now because I'm about to connect to a machine in Burbank, and I need all the internet I can get. So if I go to, there it is. This is an application, an appliance, I think a 2RU appliance that sits in your rack with your gear. It's called CaraOne. CaraOne looks at your storage, whatever it is, NAS, SAN, attached hard drive, doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It looks at your storage and will perform an AI harvest of metadata on it. It will then present you this search box here, very easy, search what you want. Search for what you want. So I could do what I talked about earlier, where we put in something simple like car. And yeah, that's going to pull up all the cars that you would expect. But I want something that is contextually relevant, as we talked about a few minutes ago. So I'm going to use the same search I did in the Adobe application, and that is going faster. And you'll see that what pops up are all things that are going faster. You'll see that someone is going, what's that, not snowboarding. I'm sorry? Snowmobile, thank you. We have someone on a motorcycle. We have dash cam footage. All of that shows motion blur. It shows movements of images. That's all works for going faster. What I can also do is search for documents and pictures and sounds. And then I can favorite a clip and then export it to whatever app I want. So we'll go back. If I load up, if I go back to my favorites, sorry, there's a little bit of a lag with the internet here. Come on. There we go. So I can load this clip up, and then I can right-click down here and send directly to Premiere. So I want you to imagine a workflow where all the content you shot that day or that week is put on your storage back at the office right before you make a backup, right? LTO, cloud, floppy disk, something. You put everything on your storage. You then use CaraOne to index all of that footage. You then want to find B-roll for that project you're working on. You type in all the things, all the terms, all the concepts you want. You send those clips directly to Premiere or Avid, and then you load up Quickture. And you tell Quickture, you've indexed all this media. I now want you to do an assembly based on that. And now you have a first cut. And you may think, well, this first cut sucks. That's okay, because all you have to do is generate and do another one. Oh, I don't like that. Do another one. That's how a lot of AI is right now. It's what we call the spaghetti technique, right? You throw it against the wall and see what sticks. But the thing is, I'm sure a lot of you have the same stumbling blocks I do, which is, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. I don't know what the story is going to be. Just give me some ideas. And I want to be clear that as someone who was in the chair for a while, I understand that a lot of the time the story is crafted by doing a watch down of your dailies or doing a watch down of all your B-roll, and you can see where the story or what shots may help convey what you're trying to convey. So this does not replace editors, but this gets you to a starting point where you can then iterate from a creative perspective. Okay, I'm now going to give you a couple rules I live my AI life by, right? My first one is AI is a starting point, not a destination. Who here puts a LUT on their footage and says, I'm done? Thank you, because we'd have to have words, because you're reading too much Reddit if that's what you do. How many times do you put an effect on a clip and say, I'm done? No, you put a picture-in-picture on something, you need to adjust the parameters to get that picture-in-picture to go where it's supposed to be. AI is the same point. I think too many people will go to ChatGPT and ask it a question, and ChatGPT doesn't give you the right answer. You're like, AI is bullshit. No, because it's a starting point. And the next point plays directly into that, which is, this is one of the best rules I've ever learned, is that consider your AI as an intern, right? They're eager. They understand the same language you do, but they don't understand the terminology. I have a great example, and I think a lot of the AV folks in the back will get this. When I say tack that cable against the wall, you all know what I mean, right? It means taking your power cable, audio cable, video cable, Ethernet cable, and you run it against the seam, right, of the floor and the wall. Many years ago, I was working with an intern at another company, Mike, so don't worry, no lawsuits. So I worked with another company, and we told this intern the first day, tack the cable against the wall. And what this intern did is literally string the cable along the wall like Christmas lights. We couldn't be upset because we said, tack the cable against the wall, not knowing that she didn't understand what that was slang for. I was talking to Jeff, one of my coworkers earlier today, and he used the phrase, ask AI where to get my coffee, or ask AI where my coffee is. And I said, okay, but what you really want is to get the coffee, not where it's sitting. Right? So you need to talk to your AI like an intern, like it doesn't understand the field you're in. So that means iterating on your prompts. This is another great tool. How many of you have spent hours prompting to finally get that answer you've been looking for? And then you realize, well, how could I have done this quicker? Nothing's stopping you once you get your answer to ask the AI, how could I have prompted you earlier to get this answer? I have a list of prompts that I keep that I go back and revise whenever I finally get the answer I want, so I can then go back and ask the AI what I wanted, what I could have prompted earlier to get that. So something you should really try at the end of your next 3-hour ChatGPT prompt session. A lot of AI now will give you sources. If you go to ChatGPT and you're using some of the newer models, it'll give you sources. But I'm sure all of you have heard the hilariously used AI for legal cases, right? Where the lawyers use ChatGPT and it hallucinated cases and citations. All they had to do was go and look those up to see that they didn't really exist. So when you get the answer, ask for sources. If they can't give you sources, or they say it's just generally accepted, AI will sometimes do that, don't put that in any legal documents, all right? And lastly, be ethical. I think Will Wheaton says, don't be a dick. I'm a big fan of using AI for good, not for bad. So just know that I'm keeping a stern eye on every one of you. If any one of you try and do deep fakes or make someone say something they shouldn't, I've got an eye on you. So let's say you want to start testing AI on your workflows. So I've got a list here of things that you should take into consideration when you are testing AI. First is top down or bottom up. What does that mean? Well, let's say you're a facility or a group of users. If you deploy AI at the top level, meaning it looks at all your storage, then in theory, all of the creatives that attach to that storage have access to that AI. And that's kind of the most financially efficient way of doing things, right? Because if you do the opposite, which is bottom up, that means each creative is doing their own AI analysis, which might mean paying double or triple because you're having the same content analyzed. And when you use it in the creative application, it may not be available to other users, right? Some of the new AI that Adobe just released, Media Intelligence, runs on your local system, but you can't share it. So everyone has to do their own AI processing, unless you're using productions and teams, and that's a whole different story. Something else is, what was it trained on, right? There's the Studio Ghibli stuff that came out a couple months ago, right? And it looked like the studio's work. That isn't something, oops, I hallucinated that. Or there was the brouhaha over Getty images being used for training, and somehow the Getty watermark started showing up as a hallucination in pictures. Well, that tells you what it was trained on. So if you're utilizing AI, especially generative AI, you want to make sure that you have an avenue to see what it was trained on, because you don't want to use a model that perhaps the company who created it may be sued, right? You don't want anything that you generate to be ripping off someone else. So do your due diligence to ensure that you know what it was trained on. Is your media staying sovereign? Is it safe? Is it secure? By using web-based AI tools, are you then giving rights to what you're uploading to that AI company? You got to read their T's and C's, their terms and conditions, to make sure that they don't have rights to your media. Another one is, what kind of AI is actually under the hood? There's a lot of companies who say, look, just put in your OpenAI API keys. Yay, we have AI. We call that the MVP, the minimum viable product, right? That's not exactly, you're not really bringing a lot of value to things if you're just saying we're plugging into a third party and wash your hands of it. So you want to determine what AI is being used and the models they're using for all the reasons we've mentioned earlier. Does it work with your tools? You probably saw that a lot of the tools I showed today work within your editing application, right? I don't want to take any of you out of your flow state. I want you to sit there with your hands on the JKL keys and be able to edit without saying, now I have to render and export. I got to upload that file to a third-party site, which I'm paying another subscription for, and then wait for those results and then find a way to get that into my NLE. No, that's garbage. I have no interest in that. If you want to use AI with creatives, you come to the creatives. I don't believe you should have to go to a website and pay another subscription for something like that. And also, lastly, who owns the outputs? So if you do have transcription done, if you do have an image done via a Gen AI, does someone else own those outputs as well, or is it just you? Do they use those outputs to further train their model, right? These are all questions you have to ask, because if you do go to your clients and say, I'm going to use AI and I need you to sign off on it, they're going to ask these, an informed client will ask these questions. Okay, this is going to simultaneously scare you and I'm hoping excite you. I'm going to go over a case study by a company who implemented AI across their entire facility and gave us tangible metrics, right? There's an ad agency in New York called Blackspot. Anyone heard of Blackspot? One person, okay, great. Blackspot is a agency that's been around for a while. It's not just a couple college kids in a dorm room. They have a beautiful facility. They have dozens of creatives, and they introduced two pieces of AI that I've talked about today. They introduced the CaraOne, right, which is that appliance that scans your storage, and they also use Quickture, which is what was used for the assembly and radio edit. And at the top right here, you're going to see some metrics that they put out in the case study. And if you don't believe me, hit the QR code. It'll take you to the website. You can read the whole case study yourself. But here was an example. They had 6 post creatives for 8 weeks doing the recap show. They cut that down to 3 creatives for 4 weeks. But here's the thing, is that creatives are afraid that AI is going to take their job. Who here owns a business? I'm honest. Well, I know you do, but who else owns a business? Come on, someone help me out here. Okay. You want to grow your business, right? Yeah, is that pretty much what you do when you own a business? Who owns a business and says, oh, I can do more with less? All right, that's fine. No, you want to do more. You want to get more clients, right? And that's what Blackspot did. They didn't hire less people. They didn't lay off more people. They said, I can bid on twice as many jobs, right? And I think any business owner who doesn't have that mindset, I don't know why they're a business owner, but that's the fundamental reason why I don't believe AI is going to take professionals' jobs. They also did episodic promos. They did 6 promos, 6 recaps, equal 25 social pieces in 2 days. Now, what's not in the document is how many revisions they did that they said, I don't like that, right? Because there's always this mass iteration when AI are doing things like this. They also did something that is a perfect use case for AI, a network rebrand. They had 60 years of archival footage, over 1,300 hours. They did 30 to 40 promotional spots in 1 day. you think about it, it's not all that difficult, right? If they're bumpers, if they're tags, if they're bugs, that's kind of easy to do. But just imagine how that would have to be done manually. You'd have to have someone doing a watch down of every single tape. Hopefully it's not tape. I don't want to bring back some of those 3/4. But you can imagine how much time that's going to take. And so this is why this technology is fantastic. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So if you want the QR code, grab it now. No? Okay. So let me see what time we have, because I have some more stuff to show you, but it is 11 o'clock. So the floor is opening, but I have a few more cool things to show you, or I can just answer your AI questions. So option 1, cool stuff. Cool stuff. Okay. All right. We'll take, Matt, 5 minutes? Yeah. 5 minutes? Okay. First, take a quick picture of this. I am not precious with my data, with my information. Take a picture of this, research it, and then I'll also give you a QR code where you can contact us directly and we can answer questions, arrange demos, etc. So I'll be changing this in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I always get asked, what's coming next, Michael? This is what you're going to see in the next year. You're going to see things like agentic AI. You've probably heard that term before. Agentic AI, let's say you need to translate something from English to Spanish. That's great. You can use a smaller model to do English to Spanish than English to 1,000 or 100 different languages, right? The 100 different languages model, that's pretty bulky. That takes a lot of hardware to run. But if you only need to do one translation, you can use a series of smaller models. I don't need to search for every animal. If I'm like National Geographic, if I don't need to search for every single animal out there and just different kinds of horses, I can use a smaller model. So agentic AI allows you to use AI to automatically determine what model should be used for the task you want to accomplish. What that means is then you can run it locally. Instead of having to use high-priced computers in the cloud, you can do everything locally on your system. Now, there will always be bigger and better models that do everything that are in the cloud. We're not going to get away from that, but this allows you to do your own tinkering on site. I believe there's going to be a specialty model cottage industry, right? The example I brought up earlier, we were looking for cars. No, I don't want to find cars. I want to find a 57 Chevy. There's going to be companies that say, you know what? We're going to take pictures and video of every single GM car out there, and then we're going to rent that model to whoever they want for whatever your project is. So if any of you get hired to do a documentary, or you're doing a marketing piece and you need to get those cars, well, general AI isn't going to have that, but someone will have a specialty model you can rent for a few bucks a month. I'm also a big fan, and we'll see more of this, of model swapping. Instead of using one particular model for everything, I'll be able to download a specialty model or something from Hugging Face. If you're into the AI realm, Hugging Face is where a lot of data is saved, a lot of trading sets and data. So the model swap will be huge. Second is, and this will scare you, is AI monitoring your screen. So when you're fumbling through how to do a multicam in Premiere, the AI at some point will say, I see you're trying to do multicam. You want me to help you with that? Kind of like Clippy, but not bad, right? So we'll start to see that. I also have a tool that, this is a workflow I created. How many of you have, let's say, at least one virtual meeting a day? All right, 2 meetings a day, 3 meetings a day. I know this man here has 7 or 8. How do you keep track of all of that, right? You hope that you took down notes, right? But me, I have so many meetings and I can't keep all of it straight. So what I've done is, whether it's Zoom or Google Hangouts or Teams, I use Fathom.video, which is one of those AI note takers that you've seen pop into kind of your chats, your meetings. And what Fathom also does is generate an AI summary. And when you click on the summary, it takes you to that point in the video. But it also generates a transcript. So what I've done is I've downloaded an application called GPT for All. Has anyone heard of GPT for All? GPT for All is an application that runs on your computer and can either use cloud AI or local AI. So you can download models and use them locally. So what I've done is I have local documents. I have key code clients in there. And what I can do is go to my chats. I can load up a model, maybe DeepSeek, This is a good DeepSeek, not the DeepSeek that phones home to China. This is one that runs locally. And when that's loaded, I can search for any of those, any questions I may have. So for example, if I go to, let's go to my local docs and we'll search clients and we'll go to chats and I'm going to type in what cameras were used. So pardon me, I'm typing with one hand. What cameras were used? That's not what I was looking for. Let's go to chats again. We'll go to local docs. All right. So this is not popping up what I was looking for. So we can skip this. There we go. All right, let's try this again. We'll put this back to our local model. We'll search this again. What cameras were used? It's using a model locally in my computer. It's looking at the transcript. Okay, we're going to try this one more time because obviously this is not working right. Try this again. What? Yes. Because a lot of what AI is trained on is proper question and answer. A lot of times misspellings are still said, well, this is acceptable, and then it'll then auto-correct it. How many of you have typed something into an email and you get that red dash line, right? So it understands that there's a typo. So this was a conversation I had with a client of ours, and they gave me model numbers of what cameras they were using. And let's say I didn't write that down. I now locally, without any internet connection, I know exactly what cameras they said they used. Here's Sony A7S III and a Sony night vision camera. I didn't have to take any notes. This is all via the transcript and via the AI summary. So all you do is localize those notes and transcription, and then anytime you want to ask about something that happened in your meeting, you now can do this without having to use the cloud. And it's like $15, $20 a month. Very, very inexpensive to, as you can see here, interact with your meetings forever.